Hey everyone, Shane here with eTrailer.com. Today I have a 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. I'm going to walk through how to install the Air Lift LoadLifter 5000 air help bush springs for the rear axle. Adding air springs onto your vehicle, if you tow a lot, is going to help make up for what your suspension can't handle. When your suspension can't handle the weight, your axle is making up for it or taking the blunt of the force. It's going to raise the front end of the vehicle, headlights are going to aim up instead of straight out the road. Tires are going to turn in, you're going to have uneven tire wear. It's going to affect your braking and your steering as well. Adding the bags will allow you to add pressure in the bags to bring your ride level back up to normal ride height, bring the front end back down so everything is back to the way it was. It's going to make your ride a lot more comfortable. But it's not only going to bring everything back up to the normal ride height, front of the vehicle back down, normal tire wear on your front end, steering is going to be the way it should be, and so is your braking. But it's also going to help with body roll. So if we have weight in the back of the truck that may cause the vehicle to seem like it's leaning a lot, the airbags are going to help support that. So it keeps our vehicle more upright and makes our ride a lot more comfortable. Now there's a few different types of bags. You have Air Lift and you have Firestone. The difference between the two. With Air Lift, if you have the vehicle, you have to get maintenance done on the vehicle. Say you need to get the tires changed. The vehicle gets lifted up in the air. They cannot let the axle hang. They're going to have to take the bottom brackets off of the bags so that the axle is not pulling down on the bags themselves. With the Firestone bags, they can do that. They can lift up the vehicle, allow the axle to hang with the bag still attached to the axle. So in my opinion, if you're looking to go with bags, I would go with the Firestone instead of the Air Lift. This kit's going to come with 2 Schrader valves that are going to mount in the back of the vehicle, or really wherever you would like to put them. It's going to give you one so that you can air up each bag individually. This is going to help for off-center loads. Maybe you have more weight on one side than the other, you can add a little bit more air in that bag. If you wanted to take it to where you could just use 1 Schrader valve, there are T-fittings that you can find that will allow both bags to be aired up the same. Say maybe you will pull a camper or something like that, it's the same weight all the time. You know what air pressure you're going to be using, and you just want to make it a little bit easier on yourself. I recommend getting an air compressor. You can find different types, or you can find analog, which you're going to have to find somewhere to mount the gauges inside the vehicle, get your lines ran inside. I recommend going with wireless. Wireless, basically it's a mount outside. You're going to have a wireless controller or use of your cell phone to monitor the air pressure. That is increasing the air pressure and decreasing it as you need it. So we get to where we're going, picking up our trailer, we know how much air pressure we need, we push a button, it's going to air our bags up to that amount. We load up, we get to where we're going, we hit the minimum we have it set at, and it lets the air out. It's always going to be there and available. We can do it from the comfort of being inside the vehicle. You can find the different types of air compressors here at eTrailer. What our bags are going to look like when they're installed. You can see they're going to be double convoluted, which means they're going to have a steel band in the center, and that's to keep the bag from overlapping itself. We're going to have rolled caps on each end. This is to help protect the bag from anything that may be around it. The ends of the bag are actually rolled inside of another cap, which is underneath of this one, and that helps seal the top and bottom side of the bag. All of our brackets are going to be steel construction, black powder coat finish, so they're going to hold up really well. It's going to come with all the necessary hardware to get them installed. The installation process is pretty simple and straightforward. It really doesn't take a whole lot of special tools to get it installed. Some simple sockets and wrenches will do. These are going to be constructed out of a very durable rubber, so they're going to hold up really well. Each bag is going to have a minimum PSI of 5, maximum PSI of 100. Keep in mind that does not increase the carrying load capacity or load carrying capacity of the vehicle. It's only to help support the weight that your vehicle is capable of handling. What I do recommend is when you're not hauling anything, let the air pressure out of the bags. If you don't, it's going to be a rough ride. Also, when you let the air out of the bags, keep about 10 to 15 PSI in each bag to make sure that there's pressure on the rubber bag itself. The reason you want to do that is because they're going to last a lot longer. If there's not air pressure in them, these bags are going to collapse a little bit and the sides will start getting weak, and you don't want that to happen. Your kit's going to come with the airline. It's going to come in one roll. Each end is going to have a Schrader valve on it. Find the center, cut it in half, and that's your line for each bag. Now, you can get T-fittings if you want to just use one Schrader valve to air up both bags at the same time. Before we get into installation, what we want to do is we want to take a measurement, the front wheel up to the bottom of the fender well, and the back wheel up to the bottom of the fender well. And what we want to find out is what our factory ride height is. So we'll start here at the back. And we have no weight in the back of the truck. We're at about 39 3/4 here at the back. We'll go ahead and do it in the front. In the front, we're at about 38 3/4. Now we've added 1,590 pounds of water to the bed of our truck. We're gonna go ahead and take the measurements again and see how much it's dropped. Here in the back, if you remember, we were at 39.5 normal ride height. Now we were at 36, about 36 1/4. So we've dropped quite a bit. What that's gonna do back here is it puts unnecessary wear and tear on our axle because our axle is making up for what our suspension can't handle. It's gonna cause us a lot of extra money later on. Now if we go to the front, we'll take another measurement up here. We've actually only come up a little bit, about 1/4 inch. We're at 38, about 38 7/8. So we've come up a little bit, almost ½ inch. But if we get more to what this truck can handle, you know, closer to 17 to 2,000 pounds in the bed of the truck, the front of our truck's gonna come up even more. What that does is it takes our tires and it'll pull them in because now it's lifting it up. It's gonna cause our headlights to aim up. Tires are gonna wear uneven. Braking is gonna be light, steering is gonna be light. That can cause an accident. What we want is we want our bags on so that we can air the back up, bring the front back down, get our headlights aiming normal tire wear, normal braking, normal steering. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some before and after footage of adding weight before and after the bags were installed. Now we're going to take it through our test course before we get the bags installed, and we're going to show you what it does. What you want to watch is the bump stop. The bump stop is there to give you a little bit of cushion, but the bump stops are really not that strong. So what you'll notice is as we go over bumps, our truck's going to bottom out. It's going to feel like it's hitting hard, and that's that bump stop flattening out. And what it's going to do is it's going to take a minute for it to stop bouncing. Once we put airbags on, it will cushion that more, and it will allow it to settle much quicker. Now we're on the other part of our course. We're going to do some S-turns, sharp S-turns, some evasive maneuverings like we're trying to swerve around something. And what we're trying to do is trying to see how much the truck leans. Because our bump stop isn't touching our frame rail, we have a gap there. So it allows the truck to lean one way or the other, whichever way the weight is shifting. That's why I like using water, because as you turn, that water is going to shift. So you're going to get a lot of lean out of it. And we'll be able to really see a difference from having water back here than something solid. Now we have our airbags installed, same amount of weight in the back of the truck, got about 40 PSI in each bag, and we were able to get ourselves back up to that normal ride height. Now, we still have plenty of adjustability in our bags to where if we want to get closer to what the vehicle can handle, we know our bags can handle it. Now with our bags installed, same amount of weight, we're going to go back through our test course and see how it handles. What we're looking for is a little bit more cushion when we're going over the bumps and the weight of the vehicle and the axle are coming together. And I can tell right off the bat, we've already got a lot more support back there. Having the bags when you're carrying weight are not only going to help support the up and down movement, but also side to side movement, body roll. So it should help us keep our vehicle more upright so it doesn't lean as much when we have that heavy weight in the back. I can definitely tell the vehicle is not leaning near as much as it was. I've never installed these on a 2015 Silverado, but I'm excited to get into the shop, walk through how to get it installed, and hopefully I can try to figure out a couple of tricks that might help make yours a little bit easier at home. We're going to start by removing the bump stop. Take a 10mm socket, and if you're doing this on the ground, you might want to jack up the vehicle by the frame and kind of separate the axle from the bump stop so you can get 10mm socket with a short extension. We're gonna go right up through the center. And then you can either pry the bump stop off, or you can grab it and try and pop it out like that. And we're going to take the trim panel tool or flathead screwdriver, this wire right here that runs up to the bottom of the frame rail, we're going to pop this off. We're going to remove this clip. Remove the clip on this open side. You're going to pry that open. Take that off. That will not be reinstalled. We're going to come right up here to the top where these lines run to this bracket, and we're going to pop these off the frame rails one. Once we get the top one off, we're going to remove that holder as well. We're going to take a 10mm socket right on the top side of our rear differential. We're going to remove this bracket that is holding this line down here. Remove the bracket. You're going to have a large clamp like this. We're going to put it in its place. Now, since we have moved our line up, it's touching here, and it's a little close down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend this bracket out just a little bit, just kind of give it some clearance. Now we're going to take our bag. One side's going to have 3 holes, the other side's going to have 2. We'll start with the side that has 3 holes. We're going to take one of these plates. We're going to line it up like that. You're going to take your air fitting. We're going to hand thread it into place first. 1/2 wrench. We're going to turn it 1.5 more times. So 1. Half. Make sure the holes in the plate are lined up with the holes in the bag. We're going to take this bracket. It's going to be marked L and R. Line up just like that. You're going to have panhead screws. Get those in place. We'll use a 7/32 Allen wrench. We'll tighten them down first. Then we're going to come back and torque them to the specification doing the instructions. Take note of where your fitting is. We're going to flip it over. We're going to put on another plate. You'll notice how I have it on. Cup goes over the bag. You have a bracket that looks like this. On the back side, it's going to have an arrow. The arrow needs to be facing away from the air fitting. Air fitting's here on my side, so we're going to face the arrow that way. 2 more panhead screws, and we'll tighten and then torque those to the specification of the instructions. And you're going to take your pull wire, hex bolt, flat washer. We're going to go up through this hole where our wire clamp was attached. And you can either go through this hole, or there's one here on the inside. Come out, get our wire pulled out like that. Put your washer on your bolt. We're going to thread it onto the wire. We'll feed the bolt into the frame and pull it out that hole. And then we can remove the pull wire. Don't just pull it off, because you're going to have to use it for the other side. And we're going to take our bag assembly. We want our air fitting to face in towards the center of the vehicle. We're going to get this up into place. make sure you watch your lines, you're not pinching any of them. And the bolt that we had dropped down through the frame rail, we're going to line it up like that. We're going to pull that through. We're going to take this cable that was originally mounted here, we're going to put on another clamp. Instead of going here, we're going to go down here to the end a little bit. We're going to put it on the bolt. If you reach right inside the hole, you can put your finger on the bolt. Once you slide it on, we're going to put on a flat washer and a lock nut. We're going to take the U-bolt. We took the hard lines off up here. We're going to go up over the top of our frame rail. We're going to make sure we're going underneath of those lines. We're going to make sure we don't have any wires pinched in there. Then we're going to take our U-bolt in the two holes, this side of the bracket and the other side of the bracket. We want to drop that U-bolt into those holes. And we're going to put a flat washer, nylon lock nut on each side. Once we get our hardware installed, we'll take a 9/16 socket. We're going to tighten down our U-bolts first. Make sure you follow the instructions. They will get torqued after they're tightened. Make sure you don't over tighten them. Also, when we're tightening them, we want to go back and forth because it is a U-bolt. We want to make sure they're tightened down evenly. Once you get done tightening, we're going to come back. We're going to torque them to the specification and the instructions. We're going to do the same thing with our torquing that we did with our tightening. We're going to go back and forth. All right. We're going to come back and tighten this one. We're going to take a small socket, 9/16. They show you using a short extension with a long socket and the leader on it. And then the wrench, I found that it's hard to get the head of the wrench in there. This actually, I was able to get it to work. We're going to take one of these brackets. The short side is going to go right up underneath of this cup. Long side is going to go right underneath the bracket. You may have to kind of pull this line out just a little bit. I would not pull it too much because you don't want to kink it. We're going to take a hex bolt with a flat washer on it. It's going to come up through here like this. We're going to make sure the plate is underneath of this. Make sure it's not on the outside. Then on the top side, we'll put a flat washer and a nylon lock nut. And we're going to do the same thing for the front side of the bag. 9/16 socket and wrench. We'll tighten down these brackets. And we'll come back and we'll torque these as specification and the instructions. Once you get one side done, driver's side, passenger side is going to be the same, with the exception that you're not going to have lines on the top of your frame rail. Everything else is going to install exactly the same way. You're going to get a roll of airline tube. It's going to have two ends on it that are the same. You're going to take these two ends, you're going to line them up together, you're going to stretch it out, and you're going to find the center. When you find the center, cut it in half. That's going to give you an even line for each side. You want to make sure when you cut the line, make sure it's cut correct or it's cut flat. It's not cut at an angle and there's not any burrs on it. Sometimes if you take your fingers and you rub it like that, it'll get the burrs off. For your passenger side, you're going to have a sleeve like this. It's a heat sleeve. We're going to slide it on before we insert it into the fitting on the bag. For the passenger side line, I put a slight bend in it. Make sure it's not kinked. Make sure it's not up too tight where it's putting pressure here because it could cause it to leak. Slight bend, went straight up over top of the heat shield, came over this way, and then went straight up here to the front. Our customer actually wants these mounted right underneath of our spare tire hole on the bumper here. So for the driver's side, I did the same thing. Slight bend, zip tied it to the factory line there, went right on top of that factory line, zip tied it here, straight up over top of this cross brace to here, zip tied it there, and just followed across. Next, we're going to take a 5/16 drill bit and we're going to drill a hole into the spot of our choosing in the back for our two valves. Now, our customer wants them right here in this area. However, if I drill from here and I get too far over, there's a metal plate on the back side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill from the back side out to make sure I stay inside of a cutout that's already here. We're going to take our valve here. We're going to put on one nut, then the star washer. We're going to feed that into the hole. And then on the opposite side, we're going to put on a rubber washer, a flat washer, and then another nut. We'll take a 1/2 inch socket and wrench, and then we'll tighten the valves down. Next, add about 40 to 60 psi of air pressure in each bag, and then we're going to do a water test. Take some soapy water, and we're going to spray the fitting, and then where the line goes into the fitting. We're going to make sure we don't have any leaks. What we're looking for is we're looking for small bubbles to form. Like we're okay there. We'll check the other side the same way. I also suggest spraying the end of these to make sure that those pins are in there tight enough. Looks like we're good there. Once you've checked each bag or each line for any air leaks, go ahead and reinstall your spare tire and you're ready to go. It's going to do it for a look at and installation on the Air Lift LoadLifter 5000 air helper springs for the rear axle on 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 1500.